Not sure the best method. She feels overwhelmed by all the different ways available today. She's stressed about how they could all possibly work together to actually bring customers and make her money. That's where we make the difference. Varyiad is true hybrid marketing. We design automated, personalized campaigns that integrate all the different channels where people pay attention. Direct mail, social media, email, texting, and even wraps for vehicles or walls. Whether you have a customer list or need us to get one for you, we turn data intelligence into actual revenue for your business. We're with you every step of the way as an extension of your staff. It doesn't stop there because we know that the magic is in the follow-up. What we build together with you keeps on working beyond the initial launch and helps us do for you what we do best: get your brand's message in front of your audience. Contact us today to get started on how we can help you build your very own personalized marketing machine. So don't worry, Ella. We got this. Varyiad. Endlessly personal.
How's everybody today? Good. So I wanted to start out with that little video we put together, just because it's right at a minute long, and it essentially sums up what we're going to be talking about here today. But before I can get into the concept of hybrid marketing, I need to tell just a little bit of a story about Meeks Group, just so that you can understand the thought process that went into some of the realizations that we made into what we eventually built here. So as a Tulsa business since 1961, over the years we've done a lot of different things, but we started out basically just as printing, and it was mostly business cards, right? Just business cards, maybe a few forms here and there, nothing too fancy, just basic stuff. But if you think about 1961, then you can remember, how did marketing work in 1961? Obviously no internet, no social media, no telemarketing really in 1961. So the founders of Meeks Group built their business like everybody else did back then, which was essentially word of mouth and relationships. And that's how they built the business. And it worked well for them, honestly, for decades. For decades it worked well. But as we know, some of the things that tend to work for a while, as things change and new ways come out to market your business, those ways might not be good. Luckily for Meeks Group, we established enough of a customer base that we continue to be successful. And over the years, we wanted to get into new ways to help businesses get in front of their audiences. So we've made investments over the years into new ways, again, starting with printing, going from business cards into wraps for vehicles, wraps for walls, and then eventually into direct mail. Over that time, we've acquired 14 companies along the way, and it was usually to get into some kind of new way. So that's kind of the spirit of what we try to do. It's not to try to make ourselves bigger, right, to be some kind of conglomerate or anything like that. It was literally, we were getting feedback from customers on they wanted to know better ways to get in front of their audience and market that. So that's the relationship that we like to have, is figuring out how we can help our customers do that. But turning a focus inward, when I joined the company 2 years ago, we said, some of that old way of how the company was built wasn't working anymore from us anymore. So we needed to look at the ways that we could grow our own business. And ironically enough, we were doing all of this great marketing for other companies, but we really weren't doing it for ourselves very well, which, isn't uncommon, especially when you're in a service-based business, because you're so focused on taking care of your customers that you sometimes neglect to do those kinds of marketing things for us. So when we started to take a look at it, we realized it's because of the follow-up, and it's because of not staying in touch with customers and all of the channels that they're paying attention in. That's why, everybody's got their list of big premium customers, right? You've got that 5, 6, 10, whatever it ends up being. And those are your cream of the crop customers. You'll bend over backwards to do everything for them. You know that they love you and that you're taking care of them. But somewhere along the way, maybe there's all of those other people that tend to get lost in the shuffle of that. It's not intentional. It's just something that ends up happening. So we took a look at our customer list, and luckily we had some data, to go back for 15, 20 years to kind of look at things. And we realized there's this group of people that had only done a little bit of business, but that was more on us because we didn't take the time to follow up with them. We needed to look at new ways to get in front of them. So that was the start of where we started to think, what are the best ways to be able to get in front of people? It might not just be printing anymore. Business cards, right? That used to be a standard thing. It kind of still is. I mean, most people have business cards. But a lot of times what happens when somebody gives a business card out, you hand it to them, they take a picture with their phone, maybe they scan it into some kind of an app on their phone, and then maybe they keep it, more likely they probably throw it away, right? So print isn't dead, it's just evolved. And that's the thing that we have had to face a long time. People say, if you think back to 2011, 2012 when the iPad came out, right? People were like, oh, this is the killer of print. This is going to be the thing that puts newspapers out of business, and this is going to be the thing that nobody's ever going to read anything printed on paper anymore. We're going to just look at it on a tablet. Did that end up happening? No, not entirely. Print is still valid. You have printed things sitting on your table right now. You have printed things in the signage that we did for you guys today. Walk into a store, look at all the labels that are on products, right? Printing isn't dead, it's just evolved. So the things that used to work back then didn't work anymore. So that's where the concept of hybrid marketing had came out. So what we did was we started to look at, well, what are some of the tools out there and the methods that people use to get in front of it? Because if we're honest with ourselves, we started as a printing company, but that's not really what we do. What we are in the business of doing is getting a brand's message in front of their audience. And the way that we do that is by using whatever the most valid tool is for that audience. And it may change for different people. It's probably the same for you guys. If you're trying to hit different demographics, what channel works for one demographic might not work for another. That's why we come to things like Social Media Tulsa to find out from other people tips and tricks and the ways that they're using things. Maybe it's webinars like Becky talked about yesterday. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's a combination of those things. But it's knowing that and figuring out the best vehicle to get that in front of it. So with my background, I've been in printing for 15 years, but during that time I also have ran a social media agency. And we wanted to, what are ways that we can combine that? And that's when this concept of hybrid marketing started to come. And I think some takeaways that I would want you to think about today, just like in our history at Meeks Group, there were things that used to work really well and then over time they didn't. Let's not forget that the same thing will continue to happen as trends continue to evolve. You can't put all of your eggs in one basket, as that old cliche saying goes. You cannot trust to build your business's list of customers or getting in front of your customer base only by doing one thing. Because if you do that, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? There's some spectacular successes of people able to build a customer list off of using, let's say, Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads are very effective. They work very well. What's going on in the news right now with Facebook in regards to the ads and everything that's going on there? Maybe they're going to come out of it. They probably will. But you never know from day to day what's going to happen. Not even just the scandalous stuff like what's in the news, but think about at the beginning of this year, Facebook changed the algorithm for what gets in front of people. So businesses' content, the organic content they're putting out on Facebook, doesn't get in front of people as effectively anymore. You have to basically put some money behind it now. So all of those things that used to work really well, all of a sudden they don't work anymore. If you've ever ran Google AdWords, you know this, right? There used to be all kinds of things. Oh, you need to build, private blog networks, and you need to do all of this stuff to increase your search rank for Google. And then Google comes along, they change the algorithm. They don't tell anyone how their algorithm works, right? You don't know. And all of a sudden, those people that used to be on page 1 or 2 or 3 are page 50, right? But if you're on page 3 or 4, you're basically irrelevant. So you never know what's going to happen from day to day. So you cannot put all of your hope in that that's the way to do it. You need to be able to diversify that so that you're not taken out by things that are out of your control from that standpoint. Additionally, the other thing that we find is people start to get fragmented with their marketing. They think, well, I've heard that this maybe doing live streaming on Facebook or Instagram works, so I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm still going to run some Google AdWords. Maybe I'll also run a Facebook ad. I'm going to build some landing pages. I'm going to do an email blast, right? But you're doing all these things and they're all disconnected. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of people. In theory, you almost need a staff with one person eating and drinking and breathing each one of those things, and that's all they do. That's not the reality for a lot of us, right? We don't have unlimited resources. We don't have teams of people that we can necessarily do that. Everybody's wearing multiple hats. in their business. Everybody's having to do these things. So you try to do a little bit of everything. Maybe you shift focus to one because you heard that's working or you see some results in what's working, and then the other ones get neglected. It's not intentional, that's just the way that it is. That's the reality in business. So we started to put into this concept of what if there was a way for you to run a campaign that actually had data coming back from each one of those channels and allowed you to take a step back and look at it from a 10,000 foot view and say, okay, this person that we tried to reach in this channel, they converted, but these people didn't. And then this channel converted and this one didn't. What if there was a way to do that? So, long story short, in the process of doing that, we took a look out there, and as you guys know, there's a variety of tools out there, there's a variety of services out there that you can use. Our process, we've essentially strung together a few of those together. Some of those are proprietary approaches that we built ourselves. Some of those are existing tools that are already out there. I'm not here today to sell you on what we're doing by any means. This is not intended to be a sales pitch. I just want you to understand what our thinking was and what we see whenever we work with people to understand, what that looks like. So we're going to talk about hybrid marketing, our approach, what it is, how it works, and why you guys should be using it for your businesses. Essentially what we're trying to do, any business for your marketing, what does that really mean? You're trying to create revenue. Plain and simple, strip all the other marketing lingo away from what marketing is. You're trying to create revenue either for yourself or for your customers. And that's our intent here, is to create new revenue or get more revenue from your existing customer base than you were getting before. But the trick is, by using these tools, you are hitting them in multiple ways. Therefore, you're increasing the chances that they're going to do business with you. And based on the actions that they take by responding to the different channels that you're advertising them to, you're creating what we call sales-ready leads. So instead of it being a cold call situation where you have no idea if they're even interested in you at all, that could be downloading something from a landing page, like an ebook or a PDF of some kind. That could be filling out a form. Could be watching a video. It can be different in every scenario. But essentially, based on the data that you're able to get back from the system, that they are interested in doing business with you. So they are sales ready. And what we find for the customers that we do this for is that they are actually able to get 50% more leads at a third of the cost. 50% more at a third of the cost. Now, overall, the total spend, you may spend a little bit more money to make sure you're putting each of these channels in the way that you're supposed to and putting the budget behind each one of them. But when you're running it as a cohesive, all-in-one campaign, each one of them is helping the other one instead of them being fragmented and you're just throwing money at this one and throwing money at this one. So ultimately, the cost to acquire that customer is cheaper in the end because you put it all together instead of trying one-off things. So how is this approach any different? We're going to talk about that. What does it do for your business? Why should you even consider it? And ultimately, what will I get out of this as we get your message in front of your audience? So where do companies spend their money and what provides the best ROI? So this is what we know based off of industry data, our own internal data when it comes to working with customers. We know that more than a third, 35% of senior marketing professionals believe that digital marketing will account for more than 50% of their marketing spend for 2019. Obviously, I don't have to tell this room that, right? People know that the shift is continuing to happen. But is it because it's effective, or is it because that's just the trend and that's the way it's going? That's the ultimate question. On average, companies spend 10.4% of their annual revenue on overall marketing activities. So again, most businesses, 10% of the revenue. That could be tens of thousands, tens of millions of dollars that people spend on marketing. But it may be fragmented. It may be in a lot of different channels that aren't working together. Customers are transitioning to communicating and buying through digital channels, which is why annual digital marketing budgets represent 2.5% of a company's revenue. Again, substantial investment from companies. 28% of marketers say they've reduced their traditional advertising, so the print-related stuff, maybe TV, radio, they don't feel it works anymore, so that they can fund digital marketing activities. Corporate website, digital advertising share the distinction of being the #1 digital marketing activities that are important to marketing success. But again, I want to point out in that think back to the mid-90s, if you're old enough to remember that. Back whenever websites first became a thing, and it was the hot thing to have a .com, right? It was like, hey, I have a website. Oh my gosh, you have a website? That's so awesome, right? Tell me what it is. All you had to do is tell people you had one and put your .com up there, and they were just super impressed with you. They thought you were ahead of the curve. It was awesome. Now when people tell you they have a website, it's like, and? You know, everybody has a website, right? It's not a big deal anymore. Same was true in 2007, 2008. I have a blog. Check it out. Man, you're awesome. You have a blog. That's pretty cool. Nowadays, no big deal, right? Twitter's a microblog. We're getting inundated with stuff all the time, right? So things that used to work for a while, they don't necessarily work anymore. Are those things valid? In some instances, they are. In some instances, you don't even need a website anymore, right? You can build a Facebook page and actually get all of your customers and correspondence with customers through a Facebook page. You might not even need a website. So those trends continue to change based on how things are working. Where are companies spending their online advertising budget? You don't have to go through each of these, but 42% feel that analytics and working with metrics will become a core part of that business. And that's truly the thing I want you to know. Big data is kind of a trending topic as well, and something that's come out over time. We have the tools now, right, to know a lot about our customers. It's the way that a lot of these things work, is being able to build a database that allows them to work. The ironic thing is for as good as services like Facebook advertising are, the reason that they're good is because of the data that they have, which again is what's in the news. It means scandalous, but it is. And a lot of it, honestly, is data that we have offered up to them because we make a profile and we just basically spill everything about our lives to the companies. But they only work because of the data that they have and because of your ability to hone in on exactly the people you want to talk to based on that data. This is really no different than what we've been doing for decades in direct mail. Direct mail, we were able to buy lists based on income level, neighborhood, the last time you bought a car, what school your kids want to go to when they go to college. I mean, direct mail has been doing the same exact approach in an offline world for years. So it's really no different. It's just taking that and combining that trend together with what you're able to do online now. Mobile alone will account for 50% of the marketing budget by 2019. Again, I don't have to tell you guys this. You know that a majority of people consume content in a mobile environment. So you have to think about your advertising and marketing from a mobile standpoint more than a desktop standpoint in a lot of instances. 86% of high-performing companies use analytics. 30% of CMOs feel, though, that they lack the critical technology. You might feel that way for your business. Some of the people you work with, if you're in a consultant type of an environment, they're hiring you because they feel that way, right? They don't understand these trends, these tools, this technology. They don't get it. They need somebody's help to reach out to you. So understanding how that data works is key. How to drive offline conversions through online marketing. According to previous research, it's estimated that 15% of conversions are about products, 23% of conversions are about services. Somebody refers, though, to something they saw online. Online metrics such as clicks, shares, and retweets don't impact offline conversation as does word of mouth, which is 9 times more volume. It's a little bit weird to say this here because this is a social media thing, but the reality is we honestly refer to clicks, shares, and retweets sometimes as fluff data. It's vanity metrics, right? It makes us feel good that we got that many likes on our stuff. And some people reshared it. But the problem is, does that actually help your campaign? Does that actually convert for you into business, into revenue for your business? What we try to build through the hybrid marketing approach is we can't always know exactly how many people saw it when just somebody shared it, but if we're coming at it in the right way and we're using the data to target the people that we want, the focus is not just to get likes or views, it's to get actual conversions, which we can track in our funnel. According to previous case studies, 9 in 10 business leaders plan to either increase or maintain their marketing budgets. So again, there's more investments going to be going into this stuff. This is kind of a funny graphic, though, that illustrates all of that stuff over the years. There's companies that were built on doing business a certain way, and then overnight or maybe in a short period of time, all of a sudden the rug was pulled out from underneath them and they went out of business. They were on the wrong ship, right? They were on the Titanic instead of the Ark. That's just, I'm going to say that several times today because I want you guys to understand that you cannot be romantic and nostalgic about the way that you're getting customers now. You can't think this is always going to work forever because it could change. You know, and so that if you take anything else away, just understand that. That doesn't mean you necessarily need to jump on every single new thing that comes along. You know, there were people, evangelists 18 months ago that said, Snapchat, you need to stop everything you're doing and do everything on Snapchat, right? Instagram stories came out. Snapchat doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters to some people, and it may be good for certain brands. You cannot do that, especially in the digital marketing world, because the trends change so much faster. So, our platform, marketing automation leader, we've assisted in building campaigns that have ran for Fortune 500 companies all the way down to mom and pop shops along the way. Trends impacting today's marketing effectiveness, how traditional marketing approaches are under fire. People are busier than ever before, right? You are this way, I'm this way. Media consumption habits have changed. Attention span is less than 6 seconds now. According to research for a marketing survey, 80% of business decision makers who made a recent purchase said they found the product vendor, not the other way around. Just 20% said the product vendor found them. 78% of all people read their mail over a trash can. Right? I mean, I do it too. You know, you get stuff in the mail, you just stand there, oh, junk mail, right? You throw it away, you don't even give it the time of day. So that's investment and money that somebody is spending that just went down the drain. Maybe it's your stuff. Marketers use on average 2.7 media channels per campaign. So we see the concept of what I'm talking about kind of happening in an organic way. Again, people think, I'm going to try a little bit here, and I'm going to try a little bit here, and we'll see what works, right? Throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. On average, we find now, and this is, of course, changing all the time, 7.2 ways to get in front of any person. You, me, anybody. 7.2 ways. Your physical mailbox, texting, email, social media, calling you on the phone, wearables. This is maybe a little bit outdated, but it fits into like the Internet of Things, so the Alexas and the Google Homes of the world, right? That's becoming a thing. We haven't even really begun to see it. If they're going to open that stuff up, guarantee you advertising is going to come on Internet of Things devices. You're going to buy a smart fridge, you're going to have to watch an ad for you open your door on the fridge, right? TV obviously still happens when you're in your car, things like radios. So maybe they throw something away or they scroll past, they don't pay attention to your ad, they delete the email. Maybe they do that because right there in that moment, they don't have a pain, right? Your service, your product, whatever it is, it's not answering a pain right then in that immediate need. But whenever they have that immediate need, they're going to go the path of least resistance. So they're going to go to the one that they remember. That's really why a lot of advertising works. When you're not selling some kind of a product that's an impulse buy, when it's like a repair service or whatever the case may be, they're going to go the one that they heard about, the one that's brand is most familiar with them. And unless you position yourself to be a valuable resource and be their guy, then they're not going to remember you. You have to offer a solution with more value that meets their needs. So, all of these things essentially sum up into, if you're not getting in front of them and consistently staying in front of them, then they're probably not going to remember you. They're going to choose to move on past you. And if your message that you're putting out there isn't hitting them in all the different channels they're paying attention, chances are you're not going to retain them. So, hybrid marketing works because it creates programs that deliver the results that you seek. And we break that down into 4 key steps that you need to pay attention to. Create a personalized experience across multiple channels, so it needs to not feel like it's the same message for everybody, right? We're just vain like that. We want to be catered to as people, as consumers. We want to feel like you're speaking to me and trying to offer me something that's important, not something that's for the masses, right? That's how we are as people. But lead generation, that's what we want to focus on. Build and cultivate a relationship through lead nurturing. So this can be achieved through some of that ongoing stuff. So this is where the shares and the content that you put out on social media or your website, that's what you're doing here. It's the nurturing of letting them understand that you're an authority about what you're talking about. You are an expert in that space. That's the kind of stuff that helps them recognize, so when they have that need, they're actually going to reach out to you because they recognize you as a resource. Find those who are the most interested. Again, by using these channels, you can see what people are doing. You can see what they're clicking on, what they're filling out, what they're downloading. If you put those tools in place, and there's our other tools out there. I'm sure you guys are aware of tools that you can use on your website to offer up a PDF when somebody fills out your form and you know if they downloaded it or not. I'm not talking about anything that you guys don't know about already, but when you use tools like that together with everything, you can actually score their interest based on what they've done. And then this allows you to send only sales-ready leads to the sales team immediately. So instead of acting on people that may or may not be interested, you're actually qualifying them because of the actions that they've taken. All right. So technology that you use, the process that you map out, and then the tracking of the data. Those are the three things you always need to pay attention to when you build those campaigns. Whether you build them as a cohesive one or individually, those are the three metrics we find lead to success. Okay. So again, the way that we try to build campaigns through our marketing automation program is a seamless experience that goes across all of those. Social media, web, email, mobile, maybe through texting, print-related stuff such as direct mail or ads on wraps for cars or on walls or signage in specific locations, maybe in store with point-of-purchase displays and things they see when they're at your physical location, and then a call center or somebody who can talk to them over the phone. So, starting to wrap this up, I just want to say that a well-executed multi-channel marketing campaign can generate a sales lift of anywhere from 7 to 34% versus traditional marketing approaches, which success in those worlds looks like 4%. If you can get 4% in anything, it's like, man, that was a home run. But the reality of what we see, and this isn't just fluff, I'm not just selling you this, we actually see this happen, where when you use this approach, we actually can see anywhere from 7 to sometimes 34% by using this targeted approach. Don't forget real-time responses to optimize results. The odds of contacting a lead if called in 5 minutes versus 30 minutes increase 100 times. This same concept, tried and true, is exactly why things like chatbots work now, or being available, a live person to actually talk to somebody when they come to your website. You've seen that trend now of always having that pop up on a website where you can chat with somebody live. That's why, is because the odds increase dramatically if you're able to hit them within a certain time frame. So yeah, lead nurturing, you've got to build something that moves them along the way. You can't just put one thing out there and hope that the people are going to convert. You have to build exactly the funnel that you want them to follow and then lead them through that funnel. There's quite a few here. I apologize. Sometimes fitting all this in an hour or so is hard to do, so I might skip on some of these slides. As with everything, we're making this available. There's a lot of content here. Feel free to download that, go through that content. You can hit us up with questions or whatever if you want us to clarify anything. We'd love to do that. So I'm going to move through a little bit of this. Again, just in our platform and any platform you use, I would say that how the program works or doing the thing that you want it to do. So if it's a plugin for your website or some kind of automation tool for posting on social media, part of what you're looking for is it doing what it says it's going to do, but the other part of it is the data you get back out of that. Always remember that when you're looking for a tool, is that the data is super important. This is actually an example of what the back end of ours looks like. So whenever we build campaigns, we can see it builds a graphical funnel, and we can see exactly which of those channels that are color-coded are actually working, what's converting and what isn't. So the data is super important when you do this. So this is essentially the distillation of what we have attempted to put together, and it's the same thing that we've done as a business over the years. We created another entity, which is what Varyiad is all about, to focus on this concept of hybrid marketing. Our tagline is to be endlessly personal. I jokingly say it's marketing that you need a restraining order from. because in reality, what we have, and not every one of these tools may work for everyone. I think you need to custom tailor it to the audience that you're wanting. But we now have the ability to run a campaign that can show up in your mailbox through direct mail, can post on your timeline or even in your messenger on Facebook or Instagram. We can run automated texting to happen at the time. We can run IP retargeting, so we can actually put ads on websites through IP retargeting before or after people are going to get something in the mail. So there's just all these different channels that we can use to put together something that's endlessly personal. But what it is the right message at the right time with the right offer. Start with ongoing, nurturing dialogue, and then you deliver the sales-only people that have self-qualified on what they want from you. We have a wealth, and we're going to move into questions here in just a second. So obviously this approach can change dramatically depending on the industry that you're in or the people that you're trying to get in front of. We've got a wealth of case studies. We've got all kinds of data about specific industries, and we'd be more than happy to share that with you if that applies. So again, we're going to move into Q&A. I would love for you guys to ask questions. You can ask very specifically about your industry. I like to do that on the fly. So we will move into that. If you're interested in hearing more, my contact information is in the app. You can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at CrazyPal. I would love to talk with you. So I'm going to open it up now to questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
What was the name of your company when you first started, and how did the naming evolve?
So again, Meeks Group is still our company now. Over the years, the group part is because, again, we have invested. We've got different divisions now within the company. Actually, the name Meeks started all the way back in 1961 because one of the founding members at the time's last name was Meeks. At some point in the 80s, he actually moved on. There's nobody at the company with the last name Meeks now. But because of, obviously, a brand identity, I mean, we've done business with a lot of people in this room, actually. I recognize some of your businesses, and we've done stuff for you guys. Because of that, consistency point, we wanted to keep that name. But if you don't know us, if you've never done business with us, just hearing that name doesn't really mean anything to you either. So when we started to go down this road of building what we wanted to do, we created a portmanteau essentially for our name. Varyiad is variable, so variable approach in a myriad of ways. We can do a lot of different things through a lot of different channels, so that's where the name Varyiad. Any other questions? Yep.
So we were recently approached by media to do geofencing.
Yep.
We were very, very specific clientele that we're going after for one of our divisions.
Yep.
And it was personal risk management, insurance.
Yep.
As soon as everyone hears that word, they have.
Sure.
So trying to find an interesting way to reach those people. They thought that the ads coming up on your phone, you're constantly in front of your face. So that's just the vision of what you all do. You would be
Correct.
including that in something much bigger.
Right. Yeah, and again, like I said, it's gonna matter with this approach. I mean, literally almost every single campaign that we build in this way, every single one is unique because it has to address things like what you say. There's really no out of the box, like, can I just buy a hybrid marketing campaign, right? It has to be built every step of the way. But it's good that you mentioned things like geolocation and stuff like that. We have some things that we're working on when it comes to geolocation. We can kind of hack the system a little bit with geolocation. So for instance, with like IP retargeting specifically, these campaigns work really well for events. We were a little bit slow in the take-up of working with Cheryl, so we weren't able to build exactly everything we wanted to for this campaign. We built the personalized landing pages, mostly as a placeholder to kind of show you, how that would work. But when we have enough time to build the campaign, a lot of people right now in this room are connected to the Hard Rock Wi-Fi right now. So in reality, we could have built something that uses the public IP address of the Hard Rock Wi-Fi, and we could have deployed ads that even when you're on your phone on different websites right now, you could have been seeing ads for whatever you wanted it to be, so in your location that way. So if it's a public place where you've got something like an IP address, there's a possibility of doing that for IP targeting. The other thing, again, blending the print with it is the URL that's printed on the sign is a unique URL specifically for that location. That could be this corner versus that corner. So we can drive them to landing page information that's different based on the location that they are. Coming down the pipe very, very soon, we're actually working on integrating with a platform that would allow us to do video-based ads and deliver those to like TV screens in geolocation places, to be able to deliver targeted video advertisements based on where they are, from there. And then lastly, I'd say we also are getting into augmented reality printing. It's still very early as far as what we're being able to do, but there's the possibility of also being able to overlay information when they view it through their phone. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
We have a small health center in our community, very rural, and we want to be able to, we have a website that's very, in the box, it's basic. But we want to drive home what services we provide for the community, for our county, to also want to provide information about what we're doing and what goals we're making in the community and that kind of thing. Where would something like this fall into that? Would that be like, I don't want to talk about money, but just to get on board with getting a guesstimate on what our goals are?
Sure.
Would that be something that you all would need to look at to talk to a small?
Yep. Yeah, so we've ran, again, from the big companies all the way down to small, where we're just talking about a few hundred people or 1,000 people or something like that. So with the medical approach, just off the top of my head, I can say we face this problem in a non-medical way, and that because we have so many different divisions and so many different things, sometimes when we're trying to market ourselves, it's hard to go in and say, we do a lot of stuff, what do you need? Right? That doesn't really work, because you need to tailor the message kind of specifically for what they need. So I would imagine in your world, if these are people that have they already visited your clinic, or they're new patients?
We have a lot of services we provide for immunizations too. We have WIC, we have community outreach, we have all these things that we're trying to get people. We have events. We want individuals to come to those events and get them promotion that we are using resources in our community.
Sure.
So that's kind of where.
So, really what we try to find in this, and when we consult with people, this is what we help them do in the planning stage, because there's obviously a lot of planning that goes into this before you ever get to the launch. It's doing a little bit of flow charting into breaking down each group into the lowest kind of common denominator to put them into the niche that they're in. So if you have the data with your customers to know, okay, they came here for these treatments, this treatment is similar to that treatment, I think they'd be interested in it, but they've never gotten it, then you can create a custom audience, so to speak, for that person. And then instead of giving them generic marketing about everything that you do, you can tailor something specifically about those services and lay up and deliver that to them. And then at the same time, you can have another segment that is for other people of a different thing, and you can kind of personalize it based on that.
And then we contact you, and then, whoever you consult on that, you all charge for that free consultation fee, or?
No, we actually do a free consultation where we can kind of custom tailor a presentation based around what your needs, and we offer some advice and some stuff for free as part of that. And then when we price it, we just put together one package, and then it's an all-you-can-eat when it comes to intellectual support. So yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
When you talked about merging augmented reality, I know your research phase, but one of the struggles we find is some of the clients that I work with and partners that I work with, traditional magazine ads and paper ads and newsletters, particularly small towns or small communities, or communities that are spread out, particularly like the running community where there's a Dallas running club, there's a Orlando running club, and we want to meet them, and they all have their own sometimes printed versions of newsletters or magazines that they send out. One of the struggles we have is standing out in the sea, because most of those are ads for our competitors. So, but the issue usually is there something that the customer or the client has to learn in order for that thing to pop up, right? So, we don't want to necessarily use QR codes, although that's the most familiar thing now. Is your software going to maybe eliminate that possibility?
So that's kind of a $1 million question, maybe multi-million-dollar $1,000 question, who knows? I agree with you. QR codes have been around for a while. I don't really use them. And it's because I have to get another app. And then I have to go through extra steps to get it, right? Call it laziness, call it being spoiled, but that's just how consumers are. If you require them to do too many things, they're just not going to do it. That's the reality of how it is. So the ultimate key for us is to figure out a way with the augmented reality stuff and tying it with the print is to figure out a way to make that as seamless as possible. There is some encouraging stuff. Again, this is very early on, but you have things like Samsung's AI assistant, which is Bixby, on especially the new S9 right, that just came out, where it actually right in the camera, you can hold it over a language and it will translate it without going into another app. It will translate it on the thing. The thing that's encouraging about that is that means that it's using another program in conjunction with the camera. So we're hoping eventually to piggyback on some kind of API integration or whatever it ends up being to allow for that augmented reality to happen seamlessly. Because I agree with you, yeah, you can't make it too there. But to speak to your specific point about like a running club or something there, when you have a specific location, I mean, I think that's what works really well, especially because if we come in with a direct mail approach, let's say, we're able to target neighborhoods. I mean, down to the street, we can actually get lists of addresses. You might not know the names of the people, right, but you know their address. So you can still do things like IP retargeting, because you can hit them based on the address that they're at. And then you can create a mail piece even that's customized down to the neighborhood. Hey, homeowner in blah, blah, blah neighborhood. And then you can create, a landing page portal that you can drive them to watch video content or something like that. And then have a call to action, something they get for free. And then whenever they put in their name, the system, because we're watching it, the name gets attached to their address. So then they convert in our system. So then the next time you try to target that neighborhood, you'll know that you already know that Cheryl lives at this address, and you don't need to spend money trying to market to her. You can put her in a different box, essentially. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for talking about QR codes and all the other? It's too involved. So we do an employee magazine quarterly, and because of the different things that we're putting in there, of course, links are too long and it takes up too much print space, that kind of thing. We do the same thing with we have upwards of 20 locations, and so each one has their Facebook page, and so we've been using QR codes, but they're not producing. So is there a better suggestion for how we might easily provide links to separate long URLs?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tools out there like URL shorteners and things like that. Of course, they're not pretty well in those instances. I would recommend though, like Bitly, for instance, which is one of the big ones, right? For that, that gets you some of the data that I'm talking about here, and that you're able to track that. You can actually do branded short domains with Bitly, where you can register your domain. So instead of it being bit.ly, it's your brand.whatever.com / and then you would create for the person, almost similar to what's on your name badges here, and that's all one thing. It's directly to the person, so you could do it based on location, or you could do it based on, again, each individual person that it's going to. I mean, that would be probably right out of the gate the easiest way to put the URL, but you're right in that, again, the QR code doesn't work based off what we talked about a second ago, probably, and then if it's too long, they're not going to necessarily type it in.
Yeah, they have a lot of, we don't actually allow cell phones, of course, so it's a dentist's office, so they're not supposed to have their phones.
Right.
But at the same point, they want them to have all of this information, so okay, well, how can we get this to them if nobody has company email addresses?
Sure.
So we need very visual.
Possibly the other way, and we probably have to talk about it some more, but the other way would possibly be to build a landing page of some kind, even if it's not personalized to the person. You can build a landing page that's personalized for each, one you put out or something like that, and then they can go download the newsletter for there. Is it a download or is it printed?
It's both.
It's both? Okay. So they can download it maybe or request one to be given to them or mailed to them through each one, and you could have like a landing page that kind of filters all that, because again, you're going to get the data about who's visiting and who's not. We're actually do that kind of exact thing that I think about it. We handle Mazio's campaign for getting their newsletter to their franchise locations, where we create custom URLs for each location, because they want to know which of the franchisees have read the newsletter and which ones haven't. So we actually are able to do that. So it's kind of a similar approach. Any other questions?